Welcome to The Rookie and the Relic, where we help you buy, sell, and grow small businesses. I'm Ian. I'm a 30-something-year-old business explorer who escaped the corporate life to build generational wealth for my girls.
And I'm Ray, a 50-something serial entrepreneur. I left college to start my first business and later dove into mergers and acquisitions. Now with Pico Private Equity, I'm here to help you break free from the corporate grind.
Exactly, and we're here to share stories, strategies, and laughs to help you navigate entrepreneurship. Whether you're just starting out or leveling up, we've got insights to help you succeed.
So buckle up and join us on this wild ride to see what a corporate escape looks like at 30 and 50.
Ray, how we doing?
Doing great, Ian. How are you doing?
Doing well. For those who don't really know us that well, want to give a brief introduction of who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so we help people buy businesses, sell businesses, and then run and grow them. And we're going to start a group of podcasts around the entrepreneur's journey and making that leap.
Excellent. Excellent, Ray. Hey, let's dive into it, shall we? I wanted to
Yes,
ask you a couple of questions about your journey, who you are, and what you've been up to. Sound fair?
sounds great. Let's do it.
Awesome. So I know that you have recently set off on your own venture after a pretty strong run in the corporate world, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
in the C-suite, you're part of a publicly listed company. Since exiting, how have things changed? What are the differences? How have you seen anything different in yourself? What's ultimately your why at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. What's interesting is my why started off the same as it began. When I first went to college, and I actually quit college 2 years in to start my first business. A friend of
Mhm.
mine who was graduating said, "Hey, I'm going to start a printing business. You want to come help me do that?" And to me, we come back to things that are the right thing. Sometimes in between, we do other things to find the true path, which is really usually the beginning. Since that first time starting a printing business, I started a furniture business, started a couple tech companies, but I spent a lot of years in between in the corporate world. And to me, this is a homecoming back to the core of my purpose of truly being an entrepreneur, helping people run businesses, become entrepreneurs, and enjoy that lifestyle and all the ups and downs and roller coasters that go with that.
Love that, Ray. Probably our audience is thinking, man, done this once before. Maybe it's not for me then, that entrepreneur, maybe owning a franchise. When you think about like what maybe they're feeling like, what makes it better now? Like you're going to go back into it after, like you said, like climbing the corporate ladder, having a good run in the tech industry. Like, why would you venture back? Why would you backpedal per se?
Being a corporate dropout is a thing, right? There's a perceived safety in the paycheck and the stock options, and you get to swim with a lot of people getting a lot of experience with well-funded companies. And it's a thing to come back to say that I want to be that person who can leap first, think later. Yeah, I want to do this thing. I think you and I represent both ends of that spectrum to some extent, right?
Yeah.
We're the beginning, the middle, and the end of that journey. And on this side of the chapter, leaving that safety, if you will, from that corporate job, you're thinking about, hey, I've just built up my net worth. I've just built up my retirement account. My kids are about to leave school and we should be working on the glide path and instead re-up for the journey at that point and
Right.
saying, hey, I'm going to put some of my net worth on the line. That freaks people out. And I've got a number of friends like me that are in that chapter. I still got more gas, but I want to do it on my own this time. And that both exciting and totally terrifying simultaneously.
Yeah, what do you think? Did anything specifically set you over the edge that you're like, "Hey, now's the right time"? Was there any, like, life event or anything that really just said, "Hey, now's the time to do this"?
Yeah. So I've spent like the last 30 years running software companies. It's intangible, right? Like it's this thing you build. It's real, but it's not real.
Mhm.
And the last 5 years really changed it for me. I worked at this company we took public and we went on a mergers and acquisition spree. We're buying a bunch of companies and then the market changed on us and we ended up selling a bunch of companies. So a lot of buy side and sales side.
Mhm.
And doing that M&A work really was a culmination. We're working on software companies that are intangible. And I really wanted to take that leap and apply that knowledge to help others because it's
Mhm.
really hard knowledge to gain to acquire companies. And a lot of people don't share it, right? They don't share how to do it and how to make it work for yourself in your own little portfolio. and where to start, how to make that leap in the first place and make it easier for more people to do. That was really my catalyst. How do we help others accelerate to their own life? Because 91% of the people that have a net worth over 5 million, according to Entrepreneur Magazine, own their own businesses. So how do we help people make that leap? Whether you're young or old or you're in the
Sure.
middle of your career, but there's this feeling that you have like, I want to do this on my own. And if you've
Sure.
got that feeling and you're in a job or job, which is over broke, you've got that urge, but you don't always have the know-how and the connectivity and the skills. I wanted to bridge that gap for people going forward.
I love that, Ray. And you've gone through this emotion yourself lately, right?
Yeah.
Franchise brokerage firm, your own company, a couple different bets. I'll call them bets because there's so much data backing franchises, brokerage firms, business. There's so much data to say that these are not even bets anymore. They're solid business moves, right? What were some of those things that you researched or things were like, hey, this is right for me in my stage of my life? What were those to get you there? You
Yeah.
know?
So coming out of this journey and thinking about my next chapter, it was really about that I want to keep doing startups. There's the people that they love to do the startup. They
Yeah.
love the roller coaster ride. They love the one arm bandit. They want to go big, right? I did a lot of that for a lot of years and, great. If that's your jam, it's good.
Right.
This chapter was about, I want to improve businesses. I want to buy an existing business that's already working, that someone is leaving, but they don't want to close it down, want it to continue.
Sure.
And so buying an existing business is very legit, right? So I got my deal team together. I got my little one-man show going so I could buy my first business. And I went through 200 businesses in my local area, 200. And out of those, two I was considering to buy. So that's one of my bets. So that's a lot of activity of looking at businesses. And what a lot of people will find, either they find that perfect business, they buy it, and then you're picking up something that's already cash flowing. It just needs to be modernized, new energy, different way of thinking, and to take it in a different direction. And you might run out of inventory really quick. That led me to franchises. Now, let's think about it. Starter businesses, 50, 70% failure rate in the first 5 years. Look up any stat from any area, high failure rates, right? Big risk,
Massive.
big win. And it's all your ship if you make it win. Buy an existing business, you're down in the 10 to 30% failure rate. Do you have the skills that are transferable in that business? Can you make it work? What are you going to do to set your special sauce, that guy that was running it for 10 to 20 years prior to you or Dow, that you could do better or at least keep it going? So still a higher failure rate, but you're buying cash flow. You're buying something that is already proven cash flow. Or do you buy a franchise? Like a startup, but you're buying a startup that has a system. Someone who's already proved that this thing is working. Failure rates on average there, anywhere from 4 to 11%. So
Crazy.
one of the things you have to think about making this leap is what's your flavor, right? Are you going to be the startup person and you want all the risk and get all the benefit? Do you want to buy into a system or do you want to buy something that's just existing that you can keep rolling? And all
Mhm.
three of those are good options. It's just what's right for you.
What are some of the questions you would ask yourself, Ray, if you're like, what's right for me? What are you thinking about? What would you meditate on?
Yeah. I think there's in those three categories, you're finding people who are, it's interesting when I show some people these businesses, franchises or existing businesses, and I'm working with a group of folks right now that are similar corporate dropouts. If you hear them saying a lot to themselves, like they look at this business, I could do that better.
Right. I hear that a lot. Yeah. I could
You
just
hear
do
that
it
a lot,
myself.
right?
Yeah. I could just do it
Yeah. Why
myself.
can't I could just do it myself. That's your startup entrepreneur. That's someone that should take their idea and disrupt an industry, something that hasn't been done before, or something you do better. If you're that person asking those kind of questions and making those kind of statements, you're a startup person. If, however, you're like, wow, I don't want to create the idea, but I want to make it better. That's the person who's looking for an existing business has that entrepreneurial experience, but they're more entrepreneurs than entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs are people who take an existing thing and make it better. If you're that operations person that doesn't want to go full bore entrepreneur, that's the kind of person who's going to buy an existing business, build it, and then sell it. And then there's a person who says, I don't think I have quite all the right skills. I don't know how to do bookkeeping or I don't know how to do sales, but I have this vision to own my own thing that I can take to another level.
Sure.
That's where you're probably looking at the franchise people. These are people who You're an entrepreneur, you're a startup, but you're not going it alone. You're not starting something fresh. You're not doing something new. You're buying into a system that can help you to be successful and has a low failure rate. So depending on what questions or statements you're making to yourself, quickly delineates which one of those three paths you're going to take.
I love that, Ray. Those are great things to ask yourself. And that sets you into three different profiles. You know, what's right for
Mhm.
you. I love to just like wrap up, Ray, real quick with you got these three people. We're talking to people every day about kind of the choices. Where are they going? Which pipeline do you fit in? Which path? Those have just begun or on the fence of jumping into their own thing. What what piece of advice would you give them?
You've got to be real with yourself. Do you really want to get out there and be willing to take a step back to take two steps forward? There are people who are made to stay in their job and to keep doing what they're doing. There's a lot of stability, a lot of security. Depends on where you're at in your career, where you're at with your family life, right?
Sure. Yep.
And speaking of family life, before you go off and start buying businesses, or you have to really consider your family. What's your support system? Are they supportive of this idea or are they against it? Because if they're against it, you got a big uphill climb. And so if as you're moving into this, you're going to be thinking about who's my tribe? Who is my tribe that's going to support me through this? Who is the person that's my coach or business coach who can fill in the gaps that I don't have? You can't go it alone. You really can't. You need people who are filling in the gaps around you and people who are going to support you and take you to the next level. And so before you make that leap, you got to really ask yourself those questions of what do I want my next chapter to be and how long do I want it to last? And then what am I missing and who can help me with that?
Yeah. I love that, Ray. So if I synthesize that down, what I would think is I'm asking a couple of people, hey, I'm thinking about this. And I'm gauging their reaction. Do they think I'm crazy? Are they in my circle? Are they asking more questions? Are they helping me decipher this?
Mhm.
If they're not, you're gonna have to look outside your circle. You're gonna have to look to others. You're gonna look for entrepreneurs, ones that have already done it before, those mentors, those people that are gonna level you up and say, hey, I'm here to help you. But if your
Yeah.
circle's not on that same page, you're gonna have to look outside that, so you're gonna have to get some new advice.
Spot on, Ian. I love it.
All right, Ray, any last words for the group before we close?
Yeah. Make the leap. It's worth it.
Love that. Love that leap. Hey, guys, if you have any questions, Ray and I are here. This is, probably a first of many that we're gonna do over this mini series. Love for you guys to click subscribe, check out our websites. Those will all be in the show notes, so you'll be able to get in touch with us, ask us any questions, and, we're here to level up your business.